And we are live. Hey, everybody. Nerdarchist Ted here from Nerdarchy, for nerds, by nerds. And I know some of you are probably coming in here to say, hey, where's the game? But sadly, Dave got pulled away. His son's got some engineering cool thing going on. And sadly, he had to, with apologies, part out from the game today. So it's up to me and our awesome staff writers here to guide you for this next hour in whatever chats you guys feel like getting into. So with that, why don't you guys say hey and whatnot.
Hey, staff writer and assistant web editor Doug here, ready to talk about Open Legend or whatever nerdy stuff anybody wants to talk about. You can throw questions or whatever in the chat, and we will keep an eye on that as well.
I'm staff writer Megan, and my dog has impeccable timing and always gets in my lap when the camera starts.
He does.
Well, really? That was your intro? Okay.
Yes.
Bill, staff writer William from the website, Comic Book University, blah, 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 blah. And Megan is an author. You can look up her stuff. Megan R. Miller, I believe her stuff is on Amazon. Is there anywhere else that you might be able to find said stuffs?
The Draysel series is on Barnes & Noble.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, the R is extremely important, though. If you don't have it, then you won't be able to find me. Megan Miller is a very popular name.
Hey, we can always take a second to panhandle the internet, too, with the GoFundMe down in the description to help Ted and Dave get out to LA and hang out longer and hang out with gamers and be on GM tips with Satine Phoenix and Geek and Sundry.
Thank you for putting that out there. I was gonna kind of wait a little bit. If you guys have out there already donated, thank you so much. If you have donated or have not donated and are unable to, please share it out there. We are looking to be able to get out to the West Coast, do this awesome event, share Nerdarchy with more nerds that are out there, as well as be able to hang out with anyone on the West Coast that are able to do stuff. We have some time slots open. We want to get some games and do some cool stuff out there. So yeah, panhandled. Thank you guys. You're awesome.
So, as far as Open Legend, what are you guys thinking of it so far? This is my first experience playing, and I'm digging it.
Well, for me, I was actually fortunate enough to have Brian Feaster, who's creator of Open Legend. He's actually somewhat local to us here at Nerdarchy, so he actually came to my gaming dungeon, my basement, Nerdarchy headquarters, whatever you want to refer to, the place way in the back corner over there, and we actually got to play Open Legend in a beta form, here, and record the game. So it was a lot of fun, but I think there were some definite changes, from then to now, as well as we didn't go through the character creation process. We had a handful of pre-gens. We just selected, some options and said, boom, run with it. So it's definitely different being able to get in and have complete control over what your character is able to do.
For sure.
Megan, Bill, what do you guys think of the system so far?
I think that I have a bunch of players that don't want to play Shadowrun because it's a bucket of D6s and really complicated, and if you throw a grenade, it takes like 2 hours to do the map, and I kind of just want to plug the setting into the Open Legend system and let them have at it.
I think Shadowrun would do well in the Open Legend system.
Yeah, it seems really easy to adapt it to any kind of setting or whatever, just because it's sort of like a generic system like that.
I think that looking at the boards, when anytime I go there and ask, like, listen, hey, with my Psychic Cobalt, I want to do such and such, how would I do it? And most of the time, the answer that I've received back from the boards, like, experienced players and creators, content designers, they'll usually always say something to the effect of, you're overthinking it. And that's what I kind of like about the game.
Yeah.
Just like everybody likes how easy the face rip game is, the Marvel face rip game. Likewise, is this game easy? You can do it if you can imagine it and just don't overthink it. It's that easy.
Speaking of those forums, I'm just amazed at how quickly like the developers and the community just responds with helpful stuff. Like In minutes.
That's right. Hey, Ted, Zerif Gaming just asked, what is Open Legend?
How could someone not know what Open Legend is? We have a, right now, Open Legend, is it just OpenLegendRPG.com, Doug?
Yes.
All right, so it's a open gaming system that's out there. They do have their own campaign setting. I believe it's Aurelia's Dawn or something.
Amanoria's Dawn, maybe?
Something along those lines.
Amoria's Dawn by Matt Mercer and Ed Greenwood helped with that.
But it is a situation where it is a unthematic rule set, so you can take a character. They're still leveling, there's still stats, but it's very interpretative. And you could say, okay, well, I want to do something with this stat. Will that work? Can that work? And a lot of times the answer is just yes. So it's an entirely different rule set. It's scalable stats, and everything you roll in the game is successive in DCs. You have a system where when you go to make a check, if a die rolls its maximum value, it explodes. Therefore, you always have the chance of, even if you are very unskilled at something, you have a chance of doing something spectacular. And we've seen this happen literally at our own gaming table, where doing the demo, Nerdarchist Ryan, or the Nerdarchist formerly known as Ryan, or however you want to situate what he is now, he rolled on a d20 a 71. It's like, holy crap, because he did 20, 20, 20, 11. And at the time, that was the highest roll for any of Brian's games in Open Legend. And that's literally like, all right, you rolled so high, you tell me what happens, because that's just like you can literally rewrite history with that kind of stuff. So it's really awesome. I sincerely love that aspect. And there's times like, okay, well, all right, you're going to have DCs that could be in that 15s to 25s on average, but if you manage to do well, you could blow that out of the water, depending upon how many dice you're actually rolling and how many times those dice explode. So it just can keep going. I love it.
Those are crazy long odds too. Like rolling 2 nat 20s in a row is 1 in 400. I used to know the statistic for 3, but it never comes up. That never comes up.
I think it's 2,000.
That's crazy.
Ryan actually did the math right then and there to figure it out. I don't recall, and I'm certain that someone somewhere is going to correct me, because that's what I'm used to here at Nerdarchy. I say something and somebody says, no, this is what it is.
Well, with all due respect, exploding dice, that almost sounds like the shrapnel involved. There are people who don't know what the exploding dice system means.
So, so essentially, I did explain it, but I didn't explain it with the definition. So anytime you roll dice in Open Legend and you roll the maximum value on that die, you roll that die again and add it to your previous results. So whether it be a D4 and you roll a 4, a D20 and you roll a 20, you add that maximum value to your next roll. So in the case where, I use Ryan as an example, he rolled 3 natural 20s in a row and then an 11. That means that over the course of that one die roll, because that's all it's considered, is he rolled a 71 on his D20. So he was, let's say making an intelligence check, and he didn't have an intelligence stat above 0. So boom, that's our intellect, I guess you would say in this version. And that's what winds up happening. And you can do that with anything. Now, I will say that the system is very interpretative. And by that, I mean, okay, once you actually get into the special powers, let's say, my character has energy. Now, energy is literally the ability to manipulate the elemental forces, earth, air, fire, water, that kind of stuff. Now, my character is on a role-playing restriction of I have the ability to control fire. Now, if I decided at some point in time, based off of something else that was going on, that I wanted to then take that in a different direction and use wind or use ice or what have you, I could do that if I made a device for it. But if somebody were to take the character sheet that I have listed without the actual character class of Etherfleiser, they could be like, oh, well, this is just a agile, smart mage, and he's got the ability to fly, command the elemental forces, teleport, and shape things to his will, because that's what's listed on the sheet. But that's not what Bunny is. I have to interpret based on the setting that Dave has created, the restrictions based on that setting, that as a Etherfleiser, or as, to a lot of people who aren't familiar with the Ether Skies game, he's an artificer. He creates magical devices because manipulating the magical energies or ether in our world causes chaos and insanity and all kinds of crazy, terrible things that, Miss Lucy over here doesn't have a problem dealing with. Whereas Bunny wants no part of directly manipulating that. So if I don't make a device to do a certain task, I really can't do it. So I have to work within those confines of the setting. So if you wind up getting into this game and you are players that kind of like to buck the system, and you have a DM who is not strong-willed enough to force the players to back down from a undoable task, then this system is going to be really too challenging for that group. But if you've got players who are really totally buying into your setting and the restrictions thereof, you can have a really fantastic game.
It is actually really good for people who are used to like forum role play, where it's not as rules heavy and people are just making up whatever they want to.
Yeah, it really has like a strong element of like built-in ways to like foster role playing. So like that's kind of like the other side of what you're saying there. Like, yeah, you could totally go balls to the wall and just like by the mechanics be ridiculously powerful. Like, I mean, with even like 1 point in an extraordinary ability, you could teleport and turn invisible and all this stuff like right off the bat. So, but like things like that, and actually as far as like role playing, like part of the character creation, which I enjoy a lot, is like there's these little things that really like add to the role playing experience, like having your character have a secret, which is something I do in my D&D games. And, that's like built into the character creation system, and the perks and flaws, which are like, 1 time per session, you can do kind of like role playing, like feats sort of. You
Right.
get special stuff. So I like that aspect. But yeah, certainly it fosters role playing, but you kind of have to like rein it in and have an understanding between the players and the GM.
That's the way that I look at it too. If you are used to a very rules-heavy system, like this, the exact opposite of GURPS. With GURPS, it's very. Think about it. It's very open. It's very easy to play. Right? You're only playing with 3 6-siders. Or is it 4? Whatever. Anyway, I guess it would be 4. It would be 4. But anyway, whatever. The idea is that you're playing with very minimal dice. And you're allowed to do anything that you want. You have to have the core book, and then you have to have all these individual books for whatever kind of setting that you want to play in. I know that right now. The dogs are barking. I know that right now that's all right. In the army, my dogs are barking means that my feet hurt. But
that was the first thing my brain jumped to.
Really? What do you call it? It means that you're you buy like, let's say World of Darkness. They would have the Vampire the Masquerade and the Werewolf the Apocalypse books that you could buy, Mage, whatever. You could do a space setting, you could do whatever, but you're buying all these different books. With Open Legend, you could quite literally simply buy what your, this particular, then you simply go by your imagination. And the only thing reining you in is your own understanding. Like, for instance, Bunny, Ted's character, Bunny, uses technology. Now, according to the rules, you can literally just say, skip the technology. I'm just going to start going firebomb, like the Firestarter, Drew Barrymore. You know what I'm saying? There's no reason why you can't accept the limitations that you set on yourself. So for role-playing purposes, you will keep it limited to things you could do technology-based. The things that, you know, I could do are insane. And unless I could think of a reason why I would be able to do the things that I do, there's no reason why the judge should allow it. So I like the openness and the idea that we're more in control of what we could do rather than consult the rules.
Yeah. I will say, though, you know, you all have extraordinary abilities. There is some drawback to not having, like, I didn't put any points in any extraordinary abilities just because I thought, like, well, Raz is just like a tough dwarf and she doesn't. It kind of limits your options as far as, like, the amount of boons and banes that you have access to. Like, I have, like, heal, bolster, aura, and that's it. And that's just based on presence. So, like, in some ways, it kind of forces me to role play more because, like, I don't have any fancy stuff I can do. So I just have to think of ways to interact with you guys.
Now, right now, because, you know, we're only level 3, you know, our stat points are limited, you know, to, you know, the cap of 5.
Mhm.
Now, you've got, you know, I don't know your character sheet, Doug. I don't know where you placed your points, but we have access to a lot of points at this point in time. So are you holding on to points until we cross that threshold to then be able to bump? Or, like, are you unsure as to what to do with your character?
Oh, no. It's just all in toughness and presence. Like, I think I have, like, 40-something hit points, and like, her resolve is, like, in the 20s and stuff. I just didn't imagine when we started out that she would have any, like, kind of fancy abilities. But now that we started, like, playing around with her mechanical arm a bit more, I might put some points there.
So, like,
But
that's
she's
what I'm
all
saying.
about presence and toughness and will. That's basically it.
So, like, it could be something that, you know, as an Etherflacer, you know, while I don't have any points in certain things, you know, Davis said, like, I could play around with that arm. You know, we could literally install an Ether battery in there without it taking up, you know, any extra space, and be like, oh, do you want to have access to, you know, protection, or do you want an ice beam, or, you know, something that you wouldn't have normally thought was possible, but is doable within the system because I'm able to do such. I'm not limited to, hey, I can only control fire. That's just the device that I made because everything burns. So why not work with fire?
And again, though, that speaks to the role-playing aspect. I don't know if it's just our game or if, you know, because we're a lot of, like, you know, fans of the role-playing part of it, but, you know, I could have done that right off the bat and just said that. But, like, I think we really have created, like, a really fun role-playing experience. I'm like, with the group, I mean, there's a heck of a lot of, like, humor and drama and interaction and character growth that I've enjoyed a lot.
Well, it is
especially you and Todd beating the crap out of each other.
I enjoyed it, and I had to really, like, hold back to not try and, you know, make the scene bigger than it was. But literally last session, like, Bunny wanted to go over and hug Kresic after, you know, the Vision quest, and it's like, you know, oh, he's not the only one who went through hell, and you know, with, you know, the abuse and whatever have you. But I'm like, I don't know how much this is gonna really be, like I didn't want it to be a showstopper. I wanted the game to keep rolling. So I'm like, well, at some point in time, you know, Bunny and Kresic can kind of have this, you know, this conversation, whether it's on camera or off. But it was like, all right, this is kind of cool. And I think a lot of that comes from, like, I don't want to, you know, toot my own horn, but I'll say to the rest of you guys, like, it's an awesome role-playing team. And when you have high caliber players that are brought together, you're going to get more into those role-playing scenes. You know, we're limited to a roughly 2-hour session when we're playing because of everyone's schedules and what have you. And it's a situation where, like, we only have time for one combat usually, and the rest is just role-playing and narration. So
yeah, I feel like the two kobolds, Bunny and Kresic, I feel like our relationship is more of the side chapter. You know, like when you're reading the Drizzt Do'Urden books, the in between chapters where, like, you know, it's all italicized. He's like, the hunter walks through the, you know, all that stuff. I feel like that's our relationship. You know, the in between stuff where we're literally just sitting down, drinking, you know, pulling back a couple of beers and just, you know, talking about, Yeah, humans suck, right?
But at the same time, like, Bunny's, while he has grown from, his past, it's left an impact. And, like, every once in a while I forget that I haven't been doing it, but, like, I do try to put on, like, qualifiers and terms of respect. I literally, refer to Dr. Lucy most of the time as Doctor or Miss or, something to put something out there. Like, I don't know how to deal with Roz because I don't know what works there. And literally, the commander is the commander. He doesn't even like the fact that it's a situation that, he doesn't want, little kobolds calling him by his name. He's got a rank, and damn it, he feels he's earned it. And that's great. And I know, like, out of game, Ty is awesome, and I enjoyed actually getting to hang out and meet with him in person back in January. It was really shame that I couldn't join the rest of you guys over at Origins, but life has to continue on. But it's once he actually gets into that role, it's like, damn it, you're an asshole.
Yeah, I actually thought I made him mad as a person a couple sessions ago in our private chat. I was like, oh man, I think he's actually mad at me. He's like, no, I'm just role playing. I'm like, oh, okay, good. Like, you're a good role player, man.
He's a very good actor.
Good. Yeah, Ty is really that good. Like, you saw the last face rip game that we played, where, like, he got personal with me, but in a cool way. He's like, Bill, what do you do? This guy, you don't believe in things like he knows that about me. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, like, and then he can meanwhile turn around and try and kill me a moment later. But then in this game, he could, like, effing kobolds, and like, it's very believable. But all the things that we're talking about right now, I almost feel like, let's see if we can make her blush. I feel like Megan was probably more responsible for this than anything else, because that article that you wrote, where you started talking about how Dr. Lucy responds to Roz and Bunny and Krizik, and like you literally went down the line how your reaction is. I looked at that and I was like, game. She's like, okay, I respond to this person like this and like this and like this, and that's kind of how I feel. Like, it generally made me roleplay Krizik a lot better, because I look at Ross and I say, okay, Krizik has definitely been on more missions on the surface, but I clearly look up to Roz in a major way because she was special forces and I was just a frontline, infantry soldier. Bunny has the natural ability to look at things from a logical point of view. Meanwhile, Krizik is so completely out there that when somebody like Ty, Israel turns around and says, I didn't give you permission to talk to, to get into my mind. And I say, okay, but you're talking to me, so your words are in my mind. So you tell me what's the difference, and then with Dr. Lucy, her complete mastery over and her ability to learn anything, it's like amazing. And that's the reason why I said that Krizik is now able to teleport, because my off-camera time chilling out with Dr. Lucy, and learning the idea of, taking molecules, dots, as Krizik put it, from here to over there. They're just matching up the dots, So
yeah, that part of Megan's article was really cool.
Thank you.
That is pretty interesting. We do have a question from Zaref Gaming, and I'll field this to you, Bill. Which one of the kobolds is the Panther, and which one of them is the Ranger?
Well, the question is flawed from the beginning. Clearly, Bunny is Dritz, and Mutt is the Panther.
Yeah.
I do not think that Bunny could have, in any way, shape, or form, hold a candle to any infamous Drow Rangers that may or may not be out there.
He's just not there yet.
Says the guy who blows away the little Chrysack thing with his flaming gun, right?
Yeah.
I am just so waiting for that moment, because there is going to be an inevitable moment where Bunny comes out of his shell, and I'm just sitting here waiting on the edge of my seat for it. Like, someday he is going to do something incredibly awesome. Like,
so Mutt isn't incredibly awesome? I mean, he's now a flying half canine, half feline with a squirrel tail.
Yeah, but I mean, like, someday Bunny is going to do something incredibly awesome and know that he's done something incredibly awesome and take the credit for it.
What Megan is referring to is that scene in the original Pitch Black movie, okay, where what's his name, Riddick, Riddick is sitting like you're just thinking, oh, he's just a thief, he's just a whatever, blah 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 blah, and all of a sudden he's one-on-one against one of these freaking monsters, and then he just starts doing that spinning around attack with that one little knife, and he rips the thing apart and says, "Did not know who he was fucking with." That's going to be the funny moment.
Well, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how long this campaign goes, and where he winds up going. I never considered him to ever be like anything more than just a support character on the side. I'll allow everybody else to kind of be there.
Well, that's what's cool about Bunny, is that he is like the character doesn't consider himself like that either. But I mean, he's totally pulled us out of jams. He keeps the ship running.
Well, it's one of the things that I actually really enjoy from the mechanical standpoint, that like everybody seems to really have like an area of expertise, both from a role-playing and a mechanical, setup. And literally Dr. Lucy and, Bunny could have had an overlap that would have deflated my addition to the team. Megan, you went with learning as your forte, and I believe you have a 5 in that now, right?
Yeah.
And I've got a 5 in logic. So he's not good at picking up new things, but as you said, like he points out things, and he's got a knack for engineering. So like for him, that's the way he looks at it. Everything is a machine, and how can I disassemble it or reassemble it or fix it? So like that wound up working out really well. And I don't know where everyone else stands, but when it comes to like those particular areas, like we can rely that, all right, we got it covered because there's a 5 there somewhere.
The crazy thing about that is that we didn't even talk about that. It just kind of came up organically.
Yes, and that's the part that really amazed me. And like, all right, I've got like a 2 in learning because clearly I have to have some kind of brain to be able to get to where I am now. But like I don't plan on building that up at all. And especially now that I know learning is your thing, I don't need to go there. Like I'm clearly once we cross our threshold, my plan is to put more in agility and more in logic to keep that going. And it's a way of building those characters that I think happens in a lot of groups where you come with veteran players.
So who's curious about what's going on in the Etherball season now? We haven't heard about that in forever.
Well, we haven't been up top either.
I know.
So yeah, it's one of those things that like I enjoyed. I enjoyed Dave's thing of, well, I'm gonna have this thing in the background because we spent so much time talking about what Etherball was that it didn't really pertain to the story that we decided to go in.
Yeah.
But because we spent so much time in our session zeros, that it's like, well, this could literally be a cool thing, and as a backdrop, it becomes interesting. So as we're in, towns where we could get that information, sure, it's a cool backdrop, and I enjoyed that Dave put out there, okay, tell me things that may or may not be true, and then we wind up having a situation where, like, all right, now we don't know what's going on because we've been out of touch for so long. So is it going to wind up requiring us to get involved, or is it still going to wind up being backdrop? It's interesting to speculate where things may or may not go with the story.
I just want to know how those beasts are winning, man. Come on.
The Hatters got robbed, all right.
What's that?
The Hatters got robbed, all right.
I was happy that Dave decided to really take on that, because like the beast thing, that was my idea.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, all right, and like I put out there like, oh, it could be this or it could be that, but literally the point was they're the last place team, totally major league-esque style, and somehow they're doing it, they're winning it. So I thought that was cool.
Did you guys have a favorite moment from any of our sessions so far? I know I had several.
All right. Well, why don't you go in? Most of the stuff with Bunny, like it was for me, it was cool that like the captain was like, dude, respect. You know, you got this engine taken care of. But most of the other stuff is like, all right, how can Dave torture Ted's character?
Yeah. Well, one of my favorite sessions from role-playing game ever actually was in our last session, was that makeover that Dr. Lucy gave Raz. I thought that was just hilarious. And it was just like a throwaway thing. I just thought, oh, that'll be funny. You know, Raz is kind of a scuzzy lady, and she's like, I wonder how, you know, regular women, you know, take care of themselves. And Megan just totally jumped right down that hook, and that was really fun.
Oh, I completely have to agree with you there. I think all my favorite moments are the one-on-one moments, like between characters, between like the bigger scenarios, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like the parts where you can really see like who these people are shining through beyond the fact that, hey, we're in danger and we need to like call butts.
Yeah. And also just working on doing an accent, which I, you know, kind of do it in my home game, but it's like being live on the internet. It's like, I don't know, you know, I'm not very good at that, but you know, it's fun. It's something different, and it's like in my mind, I know like, okay, when I'm talking like that, it's Raz, and when I'm not, it's just me as a player. So that's fun.
No, I think my absolute favorite moment in this game so far, though, has been Krizik burying that cultist. Because
that was probably one of mine also. Go on.
No, I feel like that really set the tone for the fact that like Lucy, she's not really a good person, and then Krizik really is, and it was like this really good contrast moment there. I liked it a lot.
So that actually sparked the you know, the relevation moments of last session, where we got to, you know, whether they were true or not, you know, speak into the history of the characters with the division quests. I thought that was pretty awesome, because we got to, again, whether it was real or not, like we got a little bit of insight. And a lot of times, like I find, you know, that people don't get into character backstories in a lot of the games. You know, there's character interaction and there's character growth, but we don't, you know, like, I don't know how many of you guys really get into novels and what have you, but I don't usually get, all right, this is where this guy came from, or this is where this girl came from, and this is their arc. We get the moments that are at the table and the stories as they unfold. Oh, we'll get into, you know, some things when you meet an NPC here and there, and we'll get some really cool and dynamic role playing. You know, that's without a doubt. But like, oh, we don't touch, oh, how did this person become a cleric? How did this sorcerer wind up finding out he had these powers? You know, who trained this fighter in this odd fighting style? You know, what was it like being a monk in that monastery? Like, these are the kind of things that are origin stories that, you know, after decades of gaming, like, I feel like there just isn't the time to really tell these stories anymore. It's more about the story of the combined group than the individuals. And I thought that was really awesome that Dave, you know, pulled these things in there and said, okay, lie or not, you know, truth or not, share.
Yeah, it's amazing what you can get done in 2 hours of online gaming, right? You know, it's like you get a combat, you get the feels, you get the humor, and all that role playing and interaction. It's pretty cool.
Well, we've talked about this before, and like I really feel that the online dynamic and that constrained timeline forces people into a situation where I think more often than not, like, I'm focused, I'm here for the game. You know, if somebody's going to take a bathroom break, it's, you know, I mute and walk away, or, you know, whatever have you. And the other players don't actually see them leaving the table. If somebody's going to have a snack, they're going to mute their microphone, quickly eat something while they're still paying attention to what's going on. And because they know other people are watching stuff, because they know others are going to watch this, it tends to get people more, you know, more focused, more locked in on the actual story, on the actual game. So there's less likelihood of, you know, those off-color comments, or, you know, the other stuff that pulls everybody off base, and then it's like, all right, well, let's just stop here for a moment. Let's compose ourselves. Let's get back into what's going on. So that's my experience with the online versus the at the table.
Bill, did you have a favorite moment from our game so far?
Actually, I think it involved you.
Really?
It was just you and me. Yeah, going to the
we went to a game.
I can't remember
Didn't
the
we?
one girl. What?
Oh yeah, the Bright Tower sisters. Yeah, that was really cool.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah,
so
I like the idea, like, you know.
Oh, you went
real quick, Bill. So, we got a couple people, calling out for the roll call. So if you guys want to sound off as to where you are, once, we get through a story or two, I'll go and read off where everybody is. So sound off, guys and gals.
So yeah, with the those sisters, the idea that they were actually attacked by the same thing that I was attacked by, that Cthulhu entity. Like, that was a thing that Dave and I had talked about in the session 0, which I didn't realize how serious he was going to take it to. That, this thing wants Krizik, in the worst way. It's a conduit. And the idea that Krizik is, my character is extremely powerful, but I always hold back. I won't do anything lethal. I have no interest in killing anybody. What do you call it? So, and especially, the idea of the Warrior's Code that I've actually got as my one of my, not feats. What is that called?
Perks.
Thank you. Yes. That, the Warrior's Code. So here's a fellow soldier, and Krizik recognizes PTSD immediately. So seeing this person, suffering a worse fate than what Krizik is currently possibly going through, the idea of, I can't help you, but I'll give you some kind of relief, knowing that, hopefully that thing, we will make it so that nobody else has to suffer what you've suffered.
Yeah, that was a really cool moment.
Yeah, I liked moments like that,
Mm-hmm. Between the action.
Exactly. Like, the action itself is cool, of just, blasting people, this and right. Just basically being like Magneto and Doctor Doom. That's always cool, but I like the actual interaction.
Mm-hmm. So is everybody sounding off, Ted?
Sorry, I was I went up muting myself by accident. So we got low numbers today, unfortunately, but that's still cool. So we have Brad in Crawfordville, Florida. Megan coming, from my computer screen, apparently. Zarif Gaming in New Mexico. Comic Book University is traveling the astral planes. We got Athens.
Ozzy Osbourne.
We got Athens in, I guess that's Alabama. We got Washington State, Pittsburgh, Alberta, Canada, Chattanooga, Tennessee. So not too many on the roll call today.
Quality over quantity today.
Oh, absolutely, and somebody was tuning into the first time today. I saw earlier up there, so that's pretty awesome. Getting people that haven't been with us before. So pretty awesome.
And somebody was behind, so this is a chance for them to catch up on our Open Legend game.
Yeah,
we have Utah.
What was that, Megan?
We have Utah.
Oh, yep. I don't even know how you would pronounce that.
Hey,
Ohio?
hey,
Ohio!
That's my friend, Brett Bennett. He's in my role-playing group. Hey, Brett.
So we got Regilio in Utah, Brett in Ohio. That's apparently friends with Doug. Todd in Dallas, Texas.
I wonder if he's off today or he's cheating. He's slipping away at work.
I'm sure we'll find out.
Or are here Delta? What does that mean, Archangel? What's with the Delta symbol?
Maybe he's down in Louisiana.
Now, see, I would have just thought that was a triangle, so...
Yeah, Bill's all sciencey and stuff. Now we got Tampa, Florida.
Delta in for engineering actually means it's even. So I'm like, what does he mean?
Maybe
like it's balance.
maybe much like
as well. So
maybe much like Open Legend, we're overthinking, and he's just pointing upwards, like, "Hey, there's more people up here."
That's true.
So whenever that cup was like sitting right in front of your camera, I honestly thought that it was a sippy cup that like one of your kids left in your like the room that you're in. Yeah, that is not a sippy cup.
Oh no, this is a gigantic thing of water.
Is there a paper towel in there?
This is actually 1 liter.
It's funny.
So, well, you guys, we mentioned off camera that I will not be gaming this weekend. You guys have any games going on?
Yes. On Sunday, we had a new player join our group a couple sessions ago, and I think maybe he played D&D a long time ago, like 2nd edition or something, and he's played with us 3 times, and he was like, hey, can I try DMing? And we're all like, yeah, man. So he was pretty nervous. He actually got inspired by Nerdarchy videos,
Nice.
and I think he wrote Dave a GM 911 while we were at Origins, but Dave didn't want to tell me. But he did awesome, and we started a new campaign, and I got to play a drow charlatan illusionist, which was so much fun. Oh my god, that's definitely one of my favorite characters ever. So we're going to be continuing that this Sunday night.
In ages past, I really did not enjoy illusionists, and in the annals of Nerdarchy history, I did a 1-shot, and probably my favorite character I've created for 5th edition, from a role-playing standpoint, not necessarily mechanically, was actually a gnome illusionist. And
Is that the one with the singing mushroom?
it is indeed the guy with the singing mushroom. That was just the best, and I would love to get back. That was Freckle Gurglop.
Yeah.
That's his name.
I think I left my PCs plotting an assassination, so we'll see how that goes.
Ted, if you ever needed any moral boost, honestly, the idea that I always use Krizik's voice, like on camera, it's specifically because of that character that you did. When I was watching that game, and I remember, what do you call it? You said to the one guy, "Light your cigarette," like however you did that voice. Prestidigitation, lit his cigar, and all that, and I was just like, wow, he's got no problem doing this on. You know what? One of these days, I'm going to do that. And I figured, now I'm going to do it now.
I love doing voices. Like I said, and you guys kind of get into it too. I was so nervous the first time on live, but at my gaming table, I do it all the time. It's fun.
I try to do voices whenever I really feel that there's something there to actually do. There has to be something that to me sparks it beyond whatever my normal voice is going to be, and it could be higher, it could be lower, it could be gravelly. Like, I'm not a voice actor, I'm never going to be one, but I've got a pretty decent vocal range, and like doing the old lady voice. Like my nephew just loves it. He's like, "Oh my god, how do you do that? That's awesome!" And so there's NPCs that I've made voices for that, if it wasn't for the fact that it's recorded up on the YouTube channel, I'd never know what it was, because I don't have the ability to just be like, "Oh yeah, let me pull out this NPC that I did a year and a half ago because you liked that voice." No, I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna do this.
So that means you're gonna have to play a grandma character in whatever game we come up with next.
Well, that's probably not gonna happen. Dave and I have nothing against you, Doug, or your choice character in this game, or your character choice in this game. Dave and I really don't do anything. When it comes to gender swapping, we just kind of feel weird by that choice.
Sure.
Now, maybe if like I was doing something where it was like a lizard race where like there's nothing to actually denote gender, I might want to play something where like I do a normal voice, and then at some point in time you're like, wait a second, you're female? Like I thought that would be pretty awesome to do. But I don't know.
I have a stupid fact.
Oh, go ahead. Say.
Go for it.
Okay, so here's my stupid fact of the day, and you guys will never be able to unknow this, but the way that you can tell the difference between a male box turtle and a female box turtle is that I believe the males have red eyes and the females don't. And that's it. That's the difference.
All right.
Go on.
Yeah, I had.
In our last session, I actually was after that makeover from Dr. Lucy, and we went to dinner, and Ty's character was like, "You're a woman." I was almost like, is he joking, or did he actually forget, or did his character actually never know? Because when you're a man, it's probably just you tend to think like, "Oh, his character's a guy."
You're a dwarf. He probably wasn't looking that hard.
Yeah, that was hilarious. I thought that was a great
that
moment.
was a fantastic moment, and it really fit the situation. And it kind of reminds me of like the scene in Iron Man in the very beginning when it's like, oh my God, you're a woman. I never would have known.
Yeah.
And he's like,
Hey,
well, that's
did you
kind
guys
of the
hear in
effect
Iron
we're
Man-
going for. Go ahead.
Did you guys hear they actually retconned something official in the Marvel Universe? That in Iron Man 2, that character that little boy who stood up with the Iron Man mask and put his hand up against the Whiplash models, they retconned that, so that is a young Peter Parker.
Oh, wow.
Really?
They just announced that, recently.
Wow. That's
so they're
fantastic.
actually noting the passage of time in those like that much time.
Absolutely. Yep.
Oh, that's cool.
Yep.
So in a non-open legend topic, we talked about this before we started. What do you guys think about D&D Beyond being open beta now with the character creation and homebrew tools?
Well, I will say, look for a video on that from, Dave and myself next week. We recorded something earlier this morning. We watched the video from the awesome people over at Curse. We kind of fooled around on the Beyond. With this release, in my opinion, there's definitely a lot more to really go and play around with. So, before that, it was like, all right, well, you can play around for a little bit, but it's mostly just interactive art, SRD. So what do you guys think?
I think it's cool. I just think it's another way that D&D's really just expanding and engaging with a whole new community online, and I think the Twitch sync functionality will be pretty neat. I was disappointed because I was like, oh wow, I'm gonna make that Drow illusionist character in here, but they don't have Drow because I don't know if that's not an SRD right now.
Well,
but it's cool. It's another tool.
I'll tell you this. There is a distinction between the SRD and then the individual books. And if you actually watch the video that what is it?
Dungeon Life?
Yeah, with Dungeon Life, but it was like Andrew and Leah, I believe, were the people talking. They talk about getting access to the product, and if you purchase the product, meaning the specific books, it would unlock anything on your account for those particular books. So you would need to buy the player's handbook within D&D Beyond to actually get access to Drow.
Yeah.
But if you play around in it, there's only like 5 backgrounds that you can choose from, and I like, well, this is kind of limiting. You can only make 6 characters. Well, that's kind of limiting, for someone like myself, where I'm gonna make lots of stuff just to play around. I'm like, okay, well, I have to delete that guy to make a new one, and then delete that guy to make a new one, and just to play around and experience the process. Did you play around at all, Megan?
Not yet, but I do plan on doing so. I've just been really busy this week.
Well, I mean, come on. It's, you've had like 24 hours, I think, at this point in time. What's the holdup?
Sleep.
Please. I'm just messing. I know. I know. So, personal information on Ted. Beyond my full-time job and beyond doing Nerdarchy, which is recording videos twice a week, gaming typically 3 Saturdays a month. Managing the Instagram, conversing over on Patreon. I'm a den leader for my son's Cub Scout troop, pack, and we typically meet every week. Over the summers, we meet every other week. So it's planning and getting ready for that. Plus, it's I have a wife and kids in the house, and somewhere in all of that, I actually try to find time to read and de-stress. So. Yeah, I totally understand there not being enough time, because there's always something that's got to give.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're getting close. I wanted to mention before the end 2 things. One is that Speak with Dead column that Megan, Max Soleil the Mad has been invading our website with. You want to talk about that, Megan?
Okay, so with pretty much psychotic undead ramblings. If you want advice from a mid-level necromancer Necromancer, or even if you just, have a moment and you're bored, like go to the Nerdarchy website, click the Speak with Dead article, maybe give that a read. And if you've got any questions, please post them in the comments below or tweet to #SpeakWithDead, because I really need more questions. I have one right now.
Yeah. Oh, really? Well, hey, one's better than none, right? But I think that's really cool, and I'm glad to see people are sending questions. And we also have our #Nerdy Project going on Twitter, which is a blind poll series to create a character, and we'll get the Nerdarchy guys to make a video about that when we're all done.
So I will also throw out there, we are always taking suggestions for video content or information on regards to actual interaction, just in case our 6 days a week of live interaction isn't enough. If there's something specific that you want, Nate and Doug are active on Twitter. Dave manages our Facebook. I manage our Instagram. So if there's something specific you want to see somewhere and whatever have you, let us know. And we'll try to see what we can do to make that happen. But all kind of suggestions. Easiest way to get to us is nerdarchy@gmail.com. It's the best way. We all check it. We try to file things in whatever appropriate folder it needs to be.
Sorry, comments. Purple Fin Fang Foom. He's a Marvel character.
Oh, nice.
So
we got a #Ted Speaks with Ted.
Oh, the hashtags with me they kind of get crazy. Ever since somebody decided to do, and it might have even been Archangel, the #Ted Crush Small Actor. I just kind of shake and look away and what have you.
Famous, man.
Well, I wouldn't go that far.
Earlier, just a little while ago, Ted was talking about interactivity. And if we're going to talk about interactivity, guys, on this very time slot on Mondays, it was Thursdays, now it's moved to Mondays, all right? Mondays at 12 noon, we're talking Eastern Standard Time. I know a lot of you guys, you want to be interactive in a Nerdarchy game. Well, the same players who are here, minus Ted, we switched Ted out for Kyle when he actually shows up. Mostly the exact same players who are in this game, Marvel Face Rip game over on Mondays. What happens is you guys show up, make sure you bring your percentile dice, all right? And then I will absolutely incorporate you into the games. You actually get to play and you get to attack the players. Sometimes we have really creative people. Sometimes we have people who just want to murder civilians, whatever. It's all welcome. It's all welcome. So by all means, you want to interact with the game today. Especially you guys in Canada, I know that you guys are off. It's the 150th celebration of Canada. So go to Tim Hortons, go to Timmy's, get your poutine-flavored donuts, and then come on in and sit down and enjoy the game.
The Canadian Embassy. No, we will never forget you, Fraginator.
That's not actually in the chat, but yes, Frag, if you watch later.
Earlier.
No, I don't believe I saw him today.
Megan actually set up an AI in your name.
Yeah, he was in there. He was in Washington State way back. I don't know if he's still there.
Okay, never mind.
No, I'll trust you. I'm not saying. Oh, there he is. Yeah.
Got AJ in the chat. He wrote a great article about ether parasites for the website. So yeah, if Dr. Terrell wants to write any more, hit us up.
So going back to the Speak with Dead, do you want to, Megan? Do you want to go more into specifically like what kind of questions or what specifically you're looking for in regards to that?
Anything you want to ask. If it is your question, that's fine. If it is your character's question, that's fine. If it is just a silly question that you thought up because you have a good pun for the name, that is perfectly fine.
All right. So are you accepting questions from Nerdarchy as well, or?
Yes, absolutely. I encourage this, but don't expect actual advice because it is a very facetious article, and I don't want anybody to actually go off trying to dig up dead bodies. I'm pretty sure that's
disclaimer.
Yes, I understood that point. I just
Nerdarchy does not advocate exhuming the dead.
Well, I mean, come on, can a necromancer raise a family in peace?
I don't think they're close together.
I know we've all seen the meme, so I've got to make the joke.
I hadn't seen the meme, so I thought that was really funny.
What?
I don't know. Somehow I missed it.
Ah, jeez. Come on, Megan.
Speaking of Instagram, man, you've really been doing a good job on that. That's cool.
Yeah,
to see.
I try, and as I've said before, on camera and off, I'm kind of mobile stupid, so I'm trying to feel out what's going on here, and it's like I don't know whether people just want things to look at, whether they want more of a certain feel, like, oh, do you want just behind the scenes stuff? Do you only want, like, oh, here's pictures of dice and dragons? Is that cool enough? Do you want to behind the scenes as far as what's going on at the set? Do you want like the stuff that I'm specifically working on, knowing that I'm not the best at painting and miniature stuff?
They want it all, man.
So I'm trying to feel things out and see what's going on. So I've been doing a little bit of everything, seeing how things interact and what have you. But gotta keep it going. Gotta keep that engine moving.
Yep. We're everywhere.
We try. The website, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter.
Well, we do have the most awesome fans in the world, so
that is true.
We gotta give them what they want.
And especially with this D&D Beyond Twitch integration, I'm certain that at some point in time we will have to be doing stuff over there as well.
Oh, I remember. I wanted to ask you a question. So, you guys rehearsing how you're gonna DM the show out when you're on GM tips?
I don't know anything about that.
Oh, really? Yeah. The guest always DMs them out, so they'll like narrate the outro.
Okay.
So got to rehearse that, man. You don't want to be caught on the spot.
Dave has not shared information. He keeps saying that Satine is his Twitter girlfriend. So we'll see what winds up transpiring. I know I'm excited to get out there.
Oh yeah.
Was that a faceplant there, Bill? Facepalm?
That was a face palm.
Yeah, sorry, I can't speak.
Sorry.
But I don't know exactly what the process is. I know we're gonna get out there. We're gonna film with Satine. I know that they're gonna record multiple things in the one day. So yeah. That's all I know. That's all I know so far.
That's gonna be awesome to be able to have extra time too, to like meet up with fans and do some gaming, because it's like, hey, that's what we're all about, is the gaming.
I'm excited about that. We've done a couple local things here related to some other conventions. I've run into people at the conventions that I've gone to normally. We did our gaming with the fans down in Florida. I know Jose was in the chat earlier. Not sure if he's still there now, but like, he got to game with Dave before we left on the cruise. We gamed and hung out with a bunch of people that were Nerdarchy fans or became Nerdarchy fans, because of the cruise. But this is gonna, like, all of that has been entirely centralized to the East Coast. Dave is going out next weekend to, I believe it's at Con in Boston, literally 8 days from now. So he's going to be able to do stuff, but again, East Coast. So this is going to be totally on the other side, West Coast stuff. Hopefully we'll have some people that are out there we'll be able to hang out and do some stuff with. I know there's a couple people who have contacted us. So if you are, close to LA, Burbank area, and you're willing to travel and do something with us, please contact us. Let us know your availability. And is there a gaming place that we could hang out at? Is there a gaming place or a space that we could run games and record? All of this stuff is, kind of need to know, so that we'd be able to, hang out with you guys, do some kind of event, whatever, do nerdy stuff. That's what we do.
So that's in Burbank. You said somebody in the chat was asking where in LA it is.
The information I have is Burbank, LA.
Okay.
In that general vicinity.
Sure.
So you guys are going in full Nerdarchy gear, right? The total regalia.
Well, I mean, obviously, we'll probably have to, do the costuming, like, not costuming, but the on-air costuming. Like, okay, well, one of us should wear the N, one of us should wear the Nerdarchy, best to represent the brand.
Okay,
Because
I'm going out on a limb here. I want to see you guys on the beach with the Nerdarchy thongs. I'm saying it.
Oh, no.
They exist,
Well-
man. You can buy it in the store right now.
That's
Oh,
right. And when I
no.
say I want to see it, I don't mean I want to see it, but I totally want to see it.
You must see it. You don't want
It's
to.
like a
but-
train wreck.
well, thank you for that
You
vote
can't
of confidence there, Megan.
How about
It's
this?
a thong. Nobody wears a thong well.
Here, we can tie it in. If you reach the GoFundMe goal, Dave has to do that. So I'm gonna pledge that for Dave right now.
No, like
you
up
reached
the
the-
ante
If you
a
hold
reach
little
on.
the
bit.
goal,
Like,
Dave has to wear the
he
Nerdarchy
would do it.
thong on the beach. I get a
Alright,
picture
so-
of him, put it on Instagram.
So you're saying
Then-
if we get to the 4,500,
Yes.
you know, that we have to do that?
Yep.
you
Oh,
guys
I
had better
think-
pony
I
up.
say
Like
you
this
should.
needs to happen.
You should have done that from the beginning. That I bet you would have doubled it.
Yeah.
This way, you got to wear the thongs on your heads.
Yeah. So come on, internet.
All right.
You don't want to see it, but you must see it.
Well, the challenge has been put out there. We'll see what winds up transpiring. So now, I will also, is it just Dave and I, or are we talking about all three of us?
I'm gonna
Oh, no,
say
it's all
just Dave
three of us.
because he's not here to defend himself. Now, if you want to jump in on it, that's cool too.
And none of that cheaty, like, oh, I'm wearing it, but it's under my jeans. Like,
Yeah, no, like that's all you're wearing is the thong.
All right.
You can
well,
wear the hat too,
Sorry, Dave.
but
Not
no,
here.
no
That's what happens.
hanging the hat.
all right. Well, all right. Challenge is out there. The link is down below. If apparently if we get to our goal, we're supposed to do this. No one else is aware of this besides
And I don't
those
feel the
watching.
slightest bit bad about it.
There was I saw a comment on the GoFundMe that if somebody said one of the tiers should be Ted should cut his hair and donate it to Locks of Love.
I don't have enough.
Really?
Yeah, it's the locks of love. They need 10 inches.
Oh, really?
and this is not quite long enough for that.
Save.
That's actually what I'm planning on doing myself.
Oh yeah. Hey, congrats, man. That's cool.
That
I've
was
done it before.
going to be my plan, and I know that eventually it will all go away. I've had long hair for I don't know, probably 20 years now.
Oh wow.
It's kind of been a thing for at this point in time more than half my life,
Yeah.
and it's kind of racing backwards now. So it's sad. In a couple months I'll be 39, so I'm like, this sucks.
To be 39 again.
Well, you look young. How old are you?
40. I just turned 40 in May.
Oh.
are you serious?
Yeah.
Wow. I never would have guessed that.
Clean living.
Well.
On the 7th of next month, I'm turning 42. And I'm
Yeah?
expecting the coolest birthday present will be that, I'm actually expecting I might just reach 1K subscribers on Comic Book University.
Pretty close, man.
I'm 27.
Well, we'll have to make sure that we get that to happen. So if you guys have not been, watching Professor Bill Comic Book University over on the YouTubes, go there now. Hit subscribe. Let's get him to his 1,000 subscribers by his birthday.
Yeah, I mean, you got your Heroes in a Minute, you do a live chat every Saturday, and just reviews throughout the week. Good stuff.
Damon.
I'm still waiting on that Mr. Miracle and Big Barda in a minute. But maybe later in the year because they're having new comic series starts, so it'll be timely.
When it comes down with all the movie stuff, I absolutely will. I know Nightshade, right? She's going to be in the Black Panther movie, and what do you call it? Nighthawk actually just died. Occupy Avengers, which I think I'm putting out after this thing goes. He just died, and Nightshade just took over the. So that's sick.
So
I like that you get into the obscure characters, and also Shocker. That was awesome to see the Shocker in a minute. Herman Schultz for the
I
win.
wanted to do this during the making of, but I chose not to.
So to get into the comic book stuff for a little bit, do you do commentaries and stuff on any of the TV shows and stuff out there? Or do you just do movies?
I do. First off, I want to say thanks to Ark and Frag. What do you call it? Yes, when Agents of Shield is on, I will. I comment on that all the time. I try to comment on other TV shows. I always do a comment on the movies afterwards. That, yeah, I just try and do whatever I get requested for. I try to fit it in, when I can. I know that with the Inhumans thing coming out pretty soon, I'm going to have to go into talking about each and every of the royal family of the Inhumans.
So without getting into spoilers, just your general opinions on the DC TV shows. What is your opinions there? Arrow, Flash, DC? Supergirl, DC Legends of Tomorrow.
Here shows. I'm also a WWE fan, so I like the idea that Cody Rhodes joined up this season for Arrow. I thought that was awesome. Those two are actually good friends, Stephen Amell and him. Stephen Amell was actually in a match SummerSlam 2 years ago. Huh?
A work. Isn't that what they call it in the biz?
They did work. But it wasn't a shoot, it was a work. But I love the idea that they're doing that now because the season is picking up because DC's politics are actually really ridiculous. I got to close my sliding glass door here. My kids are awake now. But they and my wife is here today, so I'm lucky. But I didn't like the idea that DC has this policy that when they're putting out a superhero movie, like let's say Superman, they could even if it was in the middle of like season 3 of Smallville, the guy who's doing the movie for Superman has the right to turn around and say, okay, I want Smallville to end because I don't want any of the viewers to be confused between this Superman. That you've got an incredible actor in Grant Gustin playing the Flash and Stephen Amell, the best Arrow that I think we could ever possibly see. Why don't they have them? Also, you could skip on the origin story. You could completely skip on the origin story and go right into it, and the audience is already there. So
yeah, I don't get that.
Yeah.
So I'm actually I'm in season 5 of Arrow, and in my opinion, it's been the best DC live action stuff that I've seen.
He's Batman with a bow and arrow. I love that show, but it's Batman.
Yeah, they are doing more of the Batman stories than the Green Arrow stories because they wanted to do Batman, but DC said no because they were currently doing the Batman movies. Right. But here's the thing: so you're on season 5. That means you watched season 3, right?
Mm-hmm.
And season 3 sucked, right?
For all intents and purposes.
Which one was that? The one with where Deathstroke assaulted Star City?
No,
or was
that
it
was
the one with Damian Dark?
Because they got rid of Deathstroke because they said, "Oh, we're going to start doing the DC cinematic universe, so we have to, and we're planning on using Deathstroke, so you got to take Deathstroke out of there." Also, the Suicide Squad was in there, right?
Yeah,
they actually had the first on-camera appearance of Harley Quinn, just a slight, turn, and her laughter and the name on the Suicide Squad, and they said that suddenly disappeared, right? Why?
Because of the movie.
Planning on in about 4 years to make a Suicide Squad movie, so.
Yeah.
Cancel that. I don't want our fans to be confused.
Yeah, I like
so they
Arrow.
completely
the show.
screwed over that TV show.
So I enjoy it. I don't know whether I would say season 3 sucked. I definitely felt that there were some things that was take it or leave it. That was when my wife decided I'm done with it. So maybe she feels more the same way that you do.
I am being emotional about it, but what I mean is that they had some incredible storylines going. You had Katana, like a major, right? And they were going to form the Suicide Squad. You saw what they were doing.
Mm-hmm.
Literally put the absolute kibosh on it because the cinematic universe. So kind of like the writer's strike for season 6 of Lost, right? All of a sudden, here's the greatest TV show we've ever seen, and suddenly, what's happening here? Oh, it's called a writer's strike.
Right.
Season 3 of Heroes. This is like the greatest. No, actually, season whatever it was. It's like, oh, this is like the greatest TV show ever. What writer's strike? What? So yeah, and there's no writer's strike here. It's just DC.
I heard a lot of good stuff about Heroes. I sadly never got involved in it. And I've heard so many jokes about, that the quality of writing just descended until, nobody was watching anymore. So, I don't even know whether it's actually worth going and getting into, since it's not a complete storyline anymore. But I try to consume as much as I can, in that nerdy media. And like, I think the worst thing that DC is doing is the crossovers that go like through multiple shows, because people aren't always watching at the same time. So if you're not current, then you can't watch it. And it pushed me away from all of the shows, because I'm like, well, all right, I'm current with Supergirl, but not with Flash and with Arrow. So I have to stop watching all of them, because I can't watch the story consecutively, because it's going to screw something up. I wound up actually watching the crossover with that was the beginning of DC Legends of Tomorrow in the completely wrong order, because I think I watched whatever it was, Flash and Arrow, and I watched them whatever the part 2 and part 1, because I wasn't completely up to date. And I think
that was the Invasion storyline, which was actually in the comics, which I covered on my channel, by the way.
And I look at the DC Legends of Tomorrow, and while I liked the characters individually in their shows, I am not impressed with the show. Like, I got halfway through season 1, and I'm not compelled to continue. Have you been in that one? What's your thoughts, feelings?
I'm totally okay with it. I like the idea of doing the occasional crossover, like once every season they do a crossover. This way, if you're not into it, you don't have to suddenly go back and start watching somebody else's stuff. You're not really missing anything. Like, for instance, they just did the musical crossover, I can understand the multi-event crossover. They tried that. It didn't work so well, which is a shame, but it is what it is.
Well, I was speaking
the comic books.
I was speaking more to, what is your opinion of DC Legends of Tomorrow?
Oh, I don't like it at all.
Okay.
I don't like it at all. That's why I won't refer to it. It's too silly for me. I like the idea that the actor Brandon Roth, who's playing the Atom, is actually the same guy who played in Superman Returns.
Okay.
Played Superman. He's a great actor. It's just I don't like the role. I don't like a lot of things going on there. Hawkman, I know this is going to sound really weird, is actually my favorite DC hero. And I know everybody, Hawkman. What? I like Hawkman.
Sure.
Well, and, from the animated series. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, from the comic books. From the animated the reason series. Why I never cover the what do you call it? The some of the shows is because nobody wants to see something negative, And every so often when you have something negative, like think about it. Think about all the people. You think about, like you guys say yourself, and I agree. I admit, when you guys talk about why people came over to Nerdarchy so often, is because you had so many positive things to say about 5th edition, and so many other people were just coming down hard on it. You look at where their channels are now, and you look at Nerdarchy, right? So when you talk about something positive, that's when you're going to get people coming over and saying hi. I just said something a little bit negative about Spider-Man in a comic book review recently, and I get like hate. It's like, sorry?
But you get clicks. That's the thing. I mean, I think people that do negative stuff. It's
I don't mind.
I don't agree with
it.
But yeah, I don't like being negative. But I mean, there's something to be said. It's like, well, those people tend to draw a lot of lines. But that is actually why I started liking Nerdarchy, and I'm glad to be involved with them too, because it's like, you guys just don't do that. I mean, that's not what we're about.
Well, I mean, I try to do things in a positive light.
Yeah.
Like you can say, well, I don't like this, and you can say this, but the focus of reviews, the focus of stuff should be highlighting the good. Now, I don't know what you guys do with your TV stuff, but every once in a while I'll drift away from other things, and the wife and I will occasionally watch, Diners, Drive-ins, and Dives on the Food Network, and Guy talks about going around the country and visiting places that most people might not have heard of and trying out their food. Now, he did in an interview where he talked about, someone saying, look, I went to this place and I had their such and such and I didn't like it. He's like, well, did I talk about that on the show? He's like, no. He's like, well, then I didn't give it my thumbs up. I didn't say it was good. I highlight the good stuff. So like that's kind of like a viewpoint that I've kind of taken, from the beginning. Like, let's try to keep things moving. Let's try to have a positive light. Let's give positive feedback. Let's have things where everybody can win. It's a little corny and cliche at times, but at the same time, there's enough negative things out there on the internet. Why should we just be one of that group?
Right on.
But Bill, you were saying that Hawkman is your favorite from the DC universe. I found that in the animated series of Justice League and the Justice League Unlimited, I actually dug Hawkgirl. I thought that she was a very, very compelling character, very, very cool there. So like I could definitely understand that vantage point. Now I'm nowhere near as versed in comic lore as yourself. I read comic books for about 2 or 3 years. Was a preteen and teenager, and then I moved into real not trying to diss comic books in any way, shape, or form, but I moved into novels. And because comic books, I was consuming them too fast, and I needed more. So I was introduced to novels and never looked back.
Well, 22 pages of a story once a month. I can understand how you'd want more. I read both.
Right.
Hey, to bring it to tie two things together. When's the next D&D comic book coming out, Bill? That seems pretty cool. It comes with a character sheet and stuff, so it kind of like ties into the game as well.
Yeah, they actually come out once a month. It's by IDW Publishing, and the publisher, the senior publisher's name is Ted Adams. I'm just making an association.
Ted, is there something you're not telling us?
No, I'm related to publishing, but I have nothing to do with that. I know you had shared that on Facebook a while ago, which was hysterical.
They actually run characters who are based on the Baldur's Gate video game. Their first series was actually based in Baldur's Gate. The second was based in Ravenloft, and the current one is based in the Spine of the World. They're up in an area called Fireshear, and actually talking about like that. His name Minsk.
With the
with his little,
ranger.
Miniature giant space hamster.
Yes.
It's a space, but what does he call exactly? The giant miniature space hamster.
Miniature giant space hamster.
Yes, he's actually in the comic book, and a bunch of other characters are in this.
But literally because in good measure.
Yeah, Boo. Boo. Yes, thanks. They're gaming. Awesome. They're actually in this comic, and in issue 1, you actually got a character sheet for Minsk and Boo.
I'm gonna have to get this comic book then, because I love those characters.
Yeah, I think they tie into the published campaigns too. Like they're doing Storm Giants, Thunder.
They are currently doing Storm Giants.
Is the pessimistic mage in the book at all?
What's her name? Is it her?
I believe it's a he, and I think it started with a Z or an X. It's been a long time, but literally, like he was an awesome character to carry around because he was just pathetic with everything that he did, and it actually inspired one of my best friends to make a character based off of him that all kinds of horrible things happened to him, and it was awesome from role playing and story, not awesome that bad things happened, but it was just comedic the way things, like, you've got this very pessimistic character and then bad luck would follow him around, not by his choice or DM's design, just with the way the dice happened and the way the characters acted. It was just hysterical. But so, all right, well, that's sad that he might not be in it, but I will definitely have to go check this out. So is it just...
They are cool. They're also doing Pathfinder. IDW Comics is also doing Pathfinder comics. And when they do those, the cool thing about them is at the very end of the comic, they'll actually have a miniature map and the ideas of what they did for this particular campaign setting in that comic. So you could literally run that particular adventure, or at least that what's the word? That encounter. There we go. They'll actually have an encounter at the very end, yes, with a map in it of every comic, which is, I love that.
Yeah, it's really cool.
That is incredibly useful because you're actually getting more than your money's worth. So, all right. Well, we're at about an hour and 20 now, so I know everybody's got loads of stuff to do today, myself included. I know some of you were probably signed on thinking that, okay, well, we're gonna get 2 hours of open legend game today, but sadly, as I said, in the beginning, Dave had a family thing related to his son doing an engineering speech, so he was not able to be here. Thank you guys for coming and hanging out with me. It was pretty awesome. Not only you guys as guests, but all awesome fans hanging out in the chat and what have you. So until next time, guys, stay nerdy.
And put Dave in a